previous part ended when Unhyo's expression grew stern. Absolutely not. If we move recklessly, the chaos will spread across the Murim, innocent lives will be caught in the crossfire. And you, a monk, speaking of taking a life? That goes against everything Buddhism stands for. Mujene fell silent for a moment, then spoke again, his voice heavy with emotion. You deserve the truth. That man is the one who destroyed my family. Let's kick off today's recap. But before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Mujene continued, his voice calm yet heavy with memory. I was born in a secluded, sparsely populated village far from the bustle of cities. Life there was simple, but harsh. Everyone was poor, and survival often depended on the help of one another. My family practiced a unique form of medicine, unconventional and not widely accepted by mainstream healers. Even so, we never turned away those in need. Our clinic was small, but always full day and night, with people coming for treatment from miles around. He paused, recalling the distant memory. It's been so long that much of it feels like a blur, but I still remember the warmth of those days, until everything changed. One day, a martial artist stumbled into our village, bloodied, half dead. Everyone, not just my family, but the entire village came together to save him. We worked tirelessly to heal his battered body. What none of us knew was that our kindness would seal our fate. Mujene's eyes lowered as he continued. Once he recovered enough to stand, they came. The Unorthodox Alliance, the leaders of 7 notorious sections. And with them, the Heaven Destroyer Sword Emperor, Jin Gang, head of the Sword Destruction Pavilion. It turns out, the man we saved was a fugitive, one of their own, on the run. For saving him, we were marked as traitors, and slaughtered without mercy. The scene shifted to a memory, an image of a boat drifting away. Inside a wooden box on board, a muffled voice cried out. When the box was opened, the passengers were shocked to find a child inside, weak and trembling. There's a child here, one of them gasped. He looks malnourished. Get food and water quickly. No, we should take him to a clinic first, another insisted. That child was me, Mujene admitted. Then he thought to himself with bitter clarity, of course, that's not exactly true. Most of that story is a lie. He spoke again aloud. I was too young to remember how I escaped, but it seems my parents hid me away in that box. That's how I survived. Unhyo listened in silence before finally asking. That's quite a tale. So how did you end up at Shaolin? Before Mujene could answer, Grandmaster Hyun Guang interjected. So that's what happened, he said thoughtfully. You were just a child wandering with no place to go, until a senior disciple of Shaolin took pity and brought you in. And all that happened because of Jin Gang. What a twisted fate. Mujene blinked, surprised. Did that actually work? He wondered. Why did that flow so naturally? Hyun Guang continued, his voice kind. How could I possibly understand the pain of losing both family and home? No one expects you to suppress those feelings just because you joined Shaolin. Don't carry that burden alone, Unhyo added. Indeed. That man, Jin Gang, has earned his share of karma. As they say, heaven's net is vast and wide. Though its mesh may seem loose, it lets nothing slip through. Justice will come for him. Hyun Guang smirked. For once, you're making sense, old Taoist. Unhyo scoffed. I'm not some stubborn monk living in a cave, you know. Stubborn? You remind me of a certain sword-wielding Taoist I know. Hyun Guang teased. Wait, are you talking about me? Unhyo replied, taken aback. I'm doing fine now. Mujene interrupted with a smile, trying to shift the topic. Anyway, let's treat your injuries first. If it worsens, it'll become harder to heal, he thought. Let's stop this conversation here. As he began bandaging Unhyo's wounds, Hyun Guang chuckled and said, You've been through a lot. I hope this old man hasn't made things worse for you. Unhyo shot back. What, aren't you an old man yourself? Compared to you, I've aged with dignity. Hyun Guang grinned. Grumpy old monk. Mujene sighed. Please stop bickering and help me treat him, Grandpa. Hyun Guang looked at Unhyo and said, See? Quit being so difficult. Lie down already. In response, Unhyo flared his sword energy, his hand gripping his blade tightly. Mujene immediately stepped back. Please, let's put the sword down for now. Some time later, Unhyo stared at his trembling, freshly bandaged hand and muttered, I came here for a final duel, and ended up getting treated instead. Hyun Guang laughed. Life's full of surprises. Want a drink? I nabbed a bottle of Shaoxing wine from Haiguan's stash. You're becoming quite the shameless monk, Anhyo muttered. By the way, why did you send the blessed monk away? He's still young, Hyunguang answered. He needs rest. You can't just keep pushing them without limits. They'll grow to resent you. Hyunguang smiled. It's fine. That child walks his own path. As long as we give him direction, he'll figure out the rest. I'm sure today's events will become a turning point for him. Speaking of which, wouldn't it have been better if you brought along that other child you mentioned? You mean Chung Su? Anhyo said with pride. Just wait. He'll surpass us all. Hyunguang chuckled again. Passing down your legacy to your grandchild, how typical of old men like us. Anhyo snapped. You want to fight again? After a pause, he looked at Hyunguang seriously. You're pretending to be a monk. What's holding you back from grasping that final truth? Hyunguang replied. It's not my time yet. I think I have 5 more years. Anhyo narrowed his eyes. I've known you too long to believe that. This isn't just about watching the younger generation grow, is it? Hyunguang's expression darkened. The scent of blood is returning. It's stronger than before. I can feel it, those forces are gathering again. How can I let go now? We must do what we can so the next generation has a fighting chance. It's their world to build, but it's ours to prepare. He looked at Anhyo. Isn't Chung Su the same for you? Anhyo glanced at his still trembling arm. Hey, monk. Can I ask you something? Lend us some of your disciples. Our disciples? Hyunguang asked. Yes. Anhyo nodded. You're right, we must pass this world on. But for that, we must grow even stronger. Wudang must grow stronger. Later, back at Shaolin, Hyunguang discussed the matter with Abbot Hyunchun. A martial arts exchange with Wudang? The abbot said. I'm all for it. If we move forward, Hyunguang said, Mujene should definitely attend. But he'll need companions, like in Nanchang. I've thought of 3 disciples. Who are they? For leadership, I suggest Haigul. Then for the team, the 3rd-class disciples, Muyul, Magung, and Mu Kyung. The abbot nodded. Perfect choices. After their progress with the light body technique, many elders have taken notice. They'll represent us well. Hyunguang then extended his hand toward the abbot. What are you doing? The abbot asked. I'm asking for something, Hyunguang replied. What do you mean? Lesser revitalization pills. Those kids went through hell. Let's not send them to Wudang empty-handed. The abbot froze. He planned this all along. After the recent incident with the greater revitalization pill, Hyunchun decided not to overthink it. Soon after, Mujene and the others were preparing to depart for Wudang. Did everyone absorb the pills properly? Mujene asked. They worked, thanks to Monk Haigul, they replied. Mujene turned to Haigul. We're in your hands again, like during Crane Strike training. Haigul smiled. This is going to be fun. Wudang is considered one of the Northern Stars, just like Shaolin. Let's make sure we represent our temple with pride. Just then, a carriage arrived. Men from the Heavenly Merchant Guild stepped down, carrying crates. We brought all the supplies you requested. Thanks, Mujene said. The exchange is about martial arts, but physical conditioning matters too. The old equipment wasn't cutting it, so I stocked up. Haigul whistled. Whoa, Magung muttered. Seriously, he's obsessed. Muyul gasped. So many. Mu Kyung added. You really hate losing muscle, don't you? Haigul nodded. Consistent training is the mark of a true Shaolin disciple. Mujene smirked inwardly. Wasn't this the same guy who turned catching a crane into a show? But if it's for training, he's all in. He's dedicated, all right. Let's do something fun on the way, Haigul suggested. Fun? Mu Kyung questioned warily. I love fun things, said Muyul. Everyone except Muyul immediately sensed what was coming. Spartan-held training. Meanwhile, Seowa, the one who had delivered the training equipment, lay exhausted on a table. She sighed deeply. Mujene's off on another long journey. The scene transitioned to the front gate of the Wudang sect, where a higher-up member and 2 junior disciples stood waiting for the arrival of Shaolin's delegation. The higher-up asked, What time is it now? One of the juniors glanced at the sky and replied, Between 3 and 5 o'clock. The higher-up sighed. If everything had gone according to schedule, they should have arrived yesterday at the latest. I wonder if something happened on the way. The junior muttered, a hint of concern in his voice. Just then, a loud thud interrupted their conversation as Mukyung dropped a heavy travel bag onto the ground. Hai Gul approached behind him, dust-covered and smiling. "We're here. You came all the way out to welcome us." The higher-up looked them over and furrowed his brow. "Wait. You're all covered in dust. Did something happen during your journey?" Hai Gul brushed off his robes. "An accident?" "Not exactly. Just part of our training." "You pulled the carriage yourselves?" the higher-up asked, alarmed. "That's reckless. And why take the longest route up Mount Wudang?" Hai Gul chuckled. "It made for excellent training terrain. We pushed ourselves." "Mujene, this is what they call a march," he said, turning to the breathless Mujene, who was struggling to catch his breath. Mujene gasped. "What would we have done if we didn't know light body techniques?" Hai Gul ignored the question and instead asked the Wudang seniors. "May we enter?" "Of course," the senior replied, motioning them through the gates. As they passed through, some of the Wudang gatekeepers began whispering among themselves. "I thought they'd be solemn, meditative monks," one muttered. "But they seem eccentric. More like reckless," another added. Later, as they were being guided through the sect grounds, the higher-up explained. "Thank you for coming all this way. We're almost at your lodgings. Please rest well after your long journey." Hai Gul glanced at a large open space filled with disciples training. "That area over there, what is it?" "That's our self-training yard," the higher-up answered. "It's used for physical training, martial arts practice, and meditation. You'll be training and interacting with us there going forward." Muyul's eyes widened at the sight of the many students. "There are so many people." Mujene looked around thoughtfully. "So this is Wudang's equivalent of a gym?" He turned to his companions. "Everyone caught your breath yet?" Muyul stretched and smiled. "Good timing. My upper body's a bit stiff." Mugung rolled his shoulders. "That march only worked my legs," Mukyung said. "Light body techniques only drained inner energy. My stamina's fine. Getting here was just a warm-up." The Wudang higher-up looked on, confused by their energy. Muyul grinned. "Since we've got a proper stage here, we're training today too, right?" "All right, everyone," Mujene called out. "Unpack your things." They began setting up their gym equipment and weights. Curious Wudang students looked on. "Wait. These are from Shaolin? Strength training? We're looking forward to seeing what you've got." The higher-up frowned. "What is happening?" "To us," Hai Gul explained, "this is rest. Basic Shaolin training." Nearby Wudang students eavesdropping reacted in disbelief. "Did you hear that? That's their training? Wait, those iron chunks aren't weapons, they're tools?" Mujene chuckled to himself. "Been a while since I've seen reactions like this. Ever since I got acknowledged for this training, if things keep going like this." Meanwhile, a different group of Wudang disciples began grumbling. "Is this really what we're exchanging martial arts for? It feels like we're being shortchanged. They don't look that impressive, let's just smile and send them off." Mugung and Mukyung overheard and scowled. "They're calling our training cheap tricks?" Mugung growled. "They don't even know how effective the muscle lengthening technique is," Mukyung muttered. "Focus," Mujene said. "Even our elders had the same reaction at first. Let them see for themselves." Mukyung sighed. "Still, don't waste energy reacting. They'll understand in time. Anyway, Mugung, I'm going to bench some weights." "Spot me?" Mugung looked confused. "Bench what? Why use such weird words?" At that moment, two Wudang students passed by, noticing the equipment. One with a ponytail commented, "That tool looks weird." The other, a long-haired youth, replied, "Yeah. Aren't they Shaolin monks?" "Right," said the ponytail student. "Here for the martial arts exchange." The long-haired one nodded. "I'm curious to see what they're like." That student was none other than Chung Su, the famed Wudang sword dragon, a third-class disciple of Wudang. As Mujene continued cleaning up the equipment, his companions began to head off. "I'm heading in," Mugung said. "You handle the cleanup," Mukyung added. "A deal's a deal." "We're going." Left alone, Mujene grumbled as he cleaned a dumbbell. "If only I'd mastered the light movement technique faster. Am I forever stuck with cleanup duty?" He heard footsteps approaching and turned. Chung Su stood before him. "Sorry, am I interrupting?" Chung Su asked politely. "Not at all," Mujene replied. "Who are you?" "I'm Chung Su, a third-class disciple of Wudang. Let's speak casually, we're on the same level. Nice to meet you, Mujene said. Wait, Chung Su? From the Gakyeong universe? He was in Return of the Demon Supreme, a secondary character fighting alongside Namgung Jinshin. Didn't get much screen time there, but maybe his role's bigger in Shaolin Chronicles. Even though this is official business, Mujene said aloud, I hope we can become friends. They shook hands. Chung Su studied Mujene carefully. His energy's comparable to mine. Is he hiding something? He said. By the way, I saw your training earlier. Honestly, it looked pretty useless. Excuse me? Mujene asked, startled. Lifting chunks of metal and stone? Is that really necessary? Seems primitive, even brutish. He picked up a dumbbell, then dropped it with a heavy thud. You really call this training? Oops, it's lighter than I thought. Mujene clenched his fists. How dare he insult our sacred training tools? Do you know Wudang's first teaching? Chung Su continued. A strong mind creates a strong body. Trading our meditative arts for this brute strength? I don't get it. You're misunderstanding, Mujene replied calmly. We also train both body and mind. A strong body supports a healthy mind. What use is a sharp mind if the body can't keep up? You don't get it, Chung Su said. With a strong mind you can do anything. But even the sharpest mind falters if the body can't keep pace, Mujene countered. That leads to laziness and giving up. Laziness comes from weak discipline, Chung Su retorted. Hardship forges conviction. Conviction without strength is just illusion. A strong mind drives the body. A strong body stabilizes the mind. And so, their philosophical argument continued, until the next day. Mujene suddenly found himself face to face with Chung Su in a sparring match. What just happened? He thought, as a crowd gathered to watch. From the crowd, Magung asked. Why are they suddenly fighting? No idea, Mukyung said. Moyo was happily cheering Mujene on. Nearby, Chung Su's friend informed the higher-up. Apparently, Chung Su requested the duel. The higher-up sighed. That weirdo. What's he up to now? Maybe it's just a skill exchange. Unhyo, sitting atop a building nearby, peered down at the match. The blessed monk Mujene, chosen by Hyun Guang. He recalled Hyun Guang's words, no matter how strong Chung Su is, he won't beat Mujene. Unhyo narrowed his eyes. Let's find out who's right. The future pillar of Wudang, or of Shaolin. Who will lead the next generation? As the duel was about to begin, Hai Gul, observing the field with a keen gaze, muttered with anticipation. Today, we'll witness the strength of the famed Wudang Sword Dragon. Magung and Mukyung turned to him, curious. Wudang Sword Dragon? Before Hai Gul could answer, one of Chung Su's friends shouted from the sidelines. Chung Su! If you're going through with this, don't hold back. Then another of his companions noticed something alarming and pointed out. Wait, his sword, is that a real one? Is he serious right now? The referee stepped forward and raised his voice. All right. The sparring match will now begin. Without hesitation, Chung Su charged forward, drawing his real sword, while Mujene responded by activating his iron guard technique, focusing internal energy into his fists until they shimmered with defensive power. In a typical match between bare fists and a sword, Mujene thought as he sprinted ahead, the unarmed usually evade and counter, while the sword wielder aims to end things quickly. But this is different. As Mujene's fist met Chung Su's blade, a sharp, metallic clang echoed through the arena. Nearby Wudang disciples instinctively flinched and covered their ears. A real sword just struck flesh, and it made a metallic sound? What the hell is happening? From behind them, a Wudang elder squinted, recognition dawning in his eyes. Wait a moment. That's the iron guard technique. To think he'd meet a sword head-on like that. The internal energy required for that level of defense. Mujene isn't just any third-class disciple. Watching from a rooftop perch, Unhyo murmured. It's been a long time since Chung Su faced someone with a real sword. Did he assess Mujene's level that quickly? Looks like that old monk wasn't bluffing after all. Now I'm truly curious to see how this ends. Back in the arena, the clash continued with intensity. Mujene launched a barrage of fast, precise punches. Chung Su danced back, narrowly dodging the strikes before sweeping in low and slashing at Mujene's midsection. But Mujene, unflinching, caught the blade in his palm before it landed. He caught my sword? Chung Su thought in shock. He's fast, this won't be easy. With a burst of strength, Mujene flung him across the field. Chung Su barely managed to jam his sword into the ground to stop himself from crashing into the wall. As he began to rise, Mujene stood tall and asked, "Done warming up?" Without waiting for a response, he thrust his palm forward, releasing a concentrated burst of fist energy. The ground trembled, and the explosion of power engulfed the area in dust and shockwaves. Wudang disciples watching from the sidelines gasped. "Was that fist energy? No way! I thought he was only a third-class disciple." Even the senior from earlier couldn't hide his surprise. To think Shaolin disciples had such power at that level. Haigul nodded, his arms crossed. "Mujine's giving us all hope." From within the dust cloud, a gleam of sword energy suddenly emerged, sharp, fast, and deadly. Mujene barely tilted his head in time to avoid a direct hit, but the attack still grazed his cheek. Chung Su stepped forth, emerging from the cloud with his blade now glowing with sword energy. Haigul narrowed his eyes. "So even the Wudang sword dragon, Chung Su, can wield sword energy. This fight's far from over. The last time I saw such a battle, it was the match between Grandmaster Hyun Guang and Master Unhyo, back when I had just joined Shaolin. Two evenly matched prodigies. That's exactly what this feels like." The duel intensified. Mujene unleashed a rapid whirlwind kick, forcing Chung Su to duck and counter with a sweeping flurry of sword strikes, a deadly sword dance. Mujene blocked each with his iron guard technique. Mujene retaliated with a powerful straight punch. Chung Su raised his sword to block, and the sheer force of the impact sent both fighters sliding back, struggling to regain balance. Mujene recovered first, planting his foot with Destroyer Divine Stride. A sharp burst of force propelled him forward in a blink, launching another explosive punch. Chung Su barely managed to deflect it, his expression tightening. He deflected that? Mujene thought, eyes gleaming. Impressive. In friendly sect duels, grappling is prohibited. Only martial arts and internal energy. Still, this is fun. Both surged at each other again, but as they neared, Chung Su's foot caught on a crack in the stone floor. He stumbled. Before he could fall, Mujene caught him mid-motion, stopping the collapse. "You okay?" Mujene asked. Chung Su, stunned, blinked. "You didn't finish me off? That was your chance. What's the point of winning against someone who tripped?" Mujene said. "Besides, Shaolin's foundation is discipline and control." Chung Su, still breathless, recalled Mujine's earlier explosive attacks. "You call that control?" Interrupting his thoughts, Mujene added with a knowing smile. "Also, I noticed something else. You've got an interest in muscles, don't you?" Chung Su stiffened. "What? How did he know? What are you talking about?" "I've been thinking about it since yesterday," Mujene said. "Back when we first spoke, you tried to provoke me. You wiped the hand opposite the one you shook with, it was awkward. But before that, I noticed how you were watching us train, quietly, thoughtfully. It felt like something about our muscle-lengthening training struck a chord with you." Mujene chuckled inwardly. He's still young, it's only natural to be impressed by well-built bodies. After a moment of hesitation, Chung Su confessed. "Actually, ever since I first saw your strange equipment, I was excited. Where was it used? How did it work? What were the names of these methods? I saw the muscles beneath your robes, your arms, backs, and legs thick enough to deflect blades. I wanted to know more. The unique equipment, the unorthodox training, everything fascinated me. That's why I challenged you. I wanted to experience it firsthand. Thank you for accepting." Then, with a sincere bow, he added, "After facing you, I understand it now. I want to build a strong body too. If you'll allow it, can we spar again someday?" Mujene smiled warmly. "Of course. It's great to meet someone with passion, to meet you. From today onward, train with us. You'll have our full support." "I'd love that," Chung Su replied. The two shook hands firmly, mutual respect now replacing their earlier tension. From the sideline, the referee raised his hand and declared, "The winner is Mujene. Well fought, everyone." As the crowd dispersed, Mujene glanced over his shoulder and said with a smirk, "You're probably going to wipe your hand again once I turn around, aren't you?" Chung Su looked flustered. "No! That was a misunderstanding." As Unhyo watched the younger generation from a distance, a flicker of memory crossed his expression. He thought back to his long years alongside Hyun Guang, the laughter and rivalry they shared. With a faint smile, he murmured, "Whether in the past, or now." The next day, The Shaolin and Wudang disciples mingled more freely. In the training courtyard, Mugum was locked in an arm wrestling match with a Wudang disciple. With a triumphant grunt, he slammed his opponent's hand down onto the stone bench. "So?" Mugum said, flashing a confident grin. "What do you think of my muscles?" The Wudang disciple let out an exasperated breath. "There's no way I can beat you, Mugum." His fellow Wudang students gathered around, surprised. "How is it you've never won? You're the strongest among us." The defeated disciple scratched his head. "He's strong, yeah, but I don't know. Somehow, I just can't use my full strength against him. And I was ready for this match. It's all thanks to Shaolin's training methods," Mugum said with pride. "Especially our muscle lengthening techniques. But don't worry, I'll help you get there. Just leave it to me." The Wudang disciples looked at him in awe. "To become like you, Mugum? You think I can really build a body that solid?" "Of course," Mugum replied with an easy nod. Nearby, Mujene noticed Chung Su curiously examining one of their tools. "What do you call this one?" Chung Su asked, turning to Mu Kyung. "That's called a sliding tool, or an abdominal roller," Mu Kyung replied. "You grip the handles and roll it forward and back. Great for core training. It looks like that barbell I saw earlier," Chung Su said, intrigued. Mu Kyung shook his head. "Nah, it's different. Barbells are for lifting, this one's specialized for the abs. You Shaolin folks have some really fascinating gear," Chung Su admitted. Mu Kyung chuckled. "Give it a try. You'll feel it for days." Watching them, Mujene thought to himself, ever since that sparring match, the wall between us and the Wudang disciples has started to crumble. The awkward air from before is fading. This is a good sign. Though, it'll probably take longer for the old-fashioned higher-ups to accept us fully. Sure enough, off to the side, a few elders whispered among themselves. "Still, what's so impressive about that thing?" one grumbled. "Sure, Mujene was remarkable, but all this fuss over weights and rollers." Mujene glanced at them but didn't comment. "What matters is that Shaolin's reputation is improving. That alone is worth it. But now that I'm seeing things more clearly." He turned his gaze toward the Wudang disciples again. "There's something troubling about their condition. Many of them look sickly. Especially their arms and wrists. They remind me of Grandpa Hyun Guang. Are they even getting proper treatment?" Just then, one of the Wudang instructors approached him. "Blessed monk. I've been looking for you." Mujene looked surprised. "For me? Why?" "Master Anhyo has summoned you," the man replied. "He requested both you and Chung Su." "I understand. We'll go right away." Later, Mujene and Chung Su arrived at a serene cliffside where Anhyo hovered in a meditative pose, suspended in the air, legs crossed. Mujene bowed. "We heard you called for us. Greetings, Master Anhyo." Anhyo slowly opened his eyes. "You've come." Seeing him levitating with such ease, Mujene marveled inwardly. Just watching him, he really feels like a true Taoist immortal. The strongest martial artist in the world really is different. "Do you know why I summoned only the two of you?" Anhyo asked. Mujene shook his head. "I don't. It's because of Hyun Guang, and the promise I made to that bald monk," Anhyo said with a faint smile. "He asked me to keep an eye on you while you're here. If you were just average, I would have left you to the junior instructors. But after seeing your match with Chung Su, I can't ignore that. I'll train you myself." Mujene blinked. So he really did watch the entire match. And now he's saying he'll teach me personally? "But before we start," Anhyo continued, "I want to ask you something. Do you remember what I asked you before? You mean the day you sparred with Grandpa Hyun Guang?" Anhyo nodded. "Since you've been here for a few days now, tell me, have you noticed anything? May I speak freely?" Mujene asked. "Go ahead. I could be wrong, but..." Mujene hesitated. "The Wudang disciples don't seem to be in good health. Especially their wrists, they look damaged. I think this might be Wudang's greatest weakness." Anhyo's expression remained unreadable. As expected of the blessed monk. "You're exactly right." He stood from his levitating posture and continued. "Our sword techniques are based on the principle of gentleness, but don't mistake gentleness for ease. Reaching a point where we can generate devastating power through softness, it places immense stress on the wrists. Most of our techniques depend heavily on the arms and hands, and over time, they break down. What you saw is the price of mastery." Mujene understood now. That explains why so many looked unwell. Anhyo stepped forward. You've treated many with your healing arts. That's why they call you Blessed Monk. So I'll get straight to the point. Would you be willing to teach us the treatment technique you used on me? The one for wrist damage? If you do, I'll grant you one request. Anything. They stood in silence for a brief moment. Unhealed then added, But you can't, can you? Because of your agreement with the Heavenly Merchant Guild. That bald monk told me everything. Mujene exhaled slowly. Actually, I believe I can fulfill your request without violating that agreement. Unhealed raised an eyebrow. Explain. There's a place about 80 kilometers from here, Sun County. I could open a body treatment clinic there. It's close enough to travel easily. That way, I'm not offering the method directly, but still helping those in need. Unhealed's expression brightened. So there was a way. That's also the region where the Jaegao clan operates, Mujene thought. Establishing a legitimate clinic there lets us plant a foothold in enemy territory. Plus, I can keep an eye on the protagonist of the Unorthodox Tyrant Chronicles, a valuable bonus. I'll personally inform Shaolin and the Heavenly Merchant Guild, Mujene added. Very well. I'm grateful, Unhealed said. But are you sure they'll agree? Who would oppose healing the sick? Mujene answered. Whether strong or weak, in pain, we're all just human. And every patient deserves compassion. Unhealed's eyes widened slightly, then softened. He doesn't draw lines between people. Now I understand why Hian Guang chose him. What a shame. If only he'd come to Wudang instead. Your mindset is absolutely righteous, Unhealed said. You know the first teaching of Wudang, a strong mind. With that heart of yours, you'll have no trouble learning what I'm about to teach. What do you mean? Unhealed's gaze sharpened. The martial art I will pass to you is the Taiji Fist Strike. Mujene blinked. The Taiji Fist Strike? Unhealed nodded. Yes. You may have seen glimpses of it during our exchange, but that was only the surface. Our true techniques are not easily shared, even among allies. But I'll make an exception, though it's a fist technique, not a sword technique. You knew? Mujene asked, startled. Unhealed smirked. Of course. I wasn't just watching your sparring. I was studying everything. He slowly took a combat stance. I will teach you through the best method I know, real combat. Learning from the strongest man alive, there's no better chance than this, Mujene thought and grinned. Then I'll give it my all. Unhealed turned toward Chung Su. And you, I called you too so you can get real battle experience. You were probably pestering the blessed monk for a rematch anyway. Chung Su scratched his head with a sheepish laugh. You really know me well, master. But wait, Mujene interjected. You're one of the 3 great swords of the world, and you're teaching me a fist technique? Unhealed snorted. Wudang isn't only about swords. Besides, I'm not as gentle as that bald monk you're used to. You know what that means, right? Come at me with everything you've got. Both Mujene and Chung Su straightened, fists clenched and eyes burning with determination. Yes, master! They shouted in unison. We'll give it everything to learn. As Master Unhealed trained them through real combat, Mujene was flung backward by a series of powerful strikes. His body slammed into the ground a short distance away from Unhealed, and he gasped, dazed but conscious. Inwardly, Mujene thought, this is insane. Back when I sparred with Monk Haiguan, I at least managed to land a hit or two. But with this old man, I can't even touch him. It's like trying to grab a bar of soap underwater. Every move he made was seen through, countered, dismantled, as though Unhealed was reading several steps ahead. Unhealed's calm voice rang out. Feels like you're fighting gently flowing water, doesn't it? That's the essence of Wudang's way. He stepped forward, effortlessly closing the distance. When deflecting attacks, there are 3 principles. First, observe your opponent's movements. Second, read the energy they channel. Third, understand their intention, their mind. Suddenly, he pivoted toward Chung Su, who was attempting a strike from the side. In a blink, Unhealed stepped on his head and struck him down, continuing. Once you've mastered all 3, you can even read the world itself. That's the final stage. I haven't reached it either. The world is vast, constantly shifting. To survive, you must be able to adapt, even when everything you knew is no longer true. He gazed down at the 2 disciples with steady eyes. Most people can't foresee change the way that bald monk did, so while you're here, I'll pour everything into teaching you the Taiji Fist Strike, along with Wudang's core teaching, the strength of mind over might. From that point on, the martial arts exchange entered a deeper phase. Mujene diligently learned both the Taiji fist strike and Taiji sword strike from Master Unhyo himself, absorbing Wudang's philosophy and fluid combat techniques. Meanwhile, Wudang, Mu Kyung, and Muyo received intensive training based on Wudang's principles of mental fortitude over brute strength. As the days passed, the divide between Shaolin and Wudang disciples began to close. One day, while Wudang was squatting with a barbell, a few Wudang disciples approached him curiously. "What kind of training is that exactly?" one of them asked. "Can we try it too?" Wudang looked up, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Heh! You sure you can handle it?" 10 days into their joint training, the Wudang students, once skeptical, had begun to embrace Shaolin's unique methods. Mujene watched them crowd around Wudang, mimicking his stretching. He muttered to himself, "Why does this look like a group fitness class? It's impressive, sure, but annoying that it all started with that show-off Wudang." Still, Mujene admitted inwardly that the tides had shifted. Their strength, demonstrated through sparring, and goodwill earned through Mujene's wrist treatments, had won over even the more reserved seniors. And if they visit the clinic later, it'll only deepen the ties between us. With mutual trust established, Shaolin and Wudang continued training together for another 10 days. Bonds were forged. Misunderstandings cleared. Respect was earned. Eventually, the day came for the Shaolin team to depart. At the gate, Chung Su said, "It's honestly sad to see you all go." Hai Gul smiled and replied, "We feel the same. But partings always lead to future reunions. I'm sure we'll meet again." Mujene added, "The clinic I mentioned will open next week in Sun County. If you need further treatment, you're always welcome there." Chung Su nodded. "Thank you. If I'd known time would pass this fast, I would have requested more sparring matches. There's still so much I wanted to learn and teach." Mujene smirked. "There's always the Dragon Phoenix Summit a year and a half from now. We can settle things there." Chung Su's eyes lit up. "You're entering that too? Then I'll definitely be there. Let's see who's stronger by then." With final goodbyes exchanged, the Shaolin disciples set off on their journey back. Upon returning to Shaolin, they were greeted not with rest, but with new challenges prepared by their respective masters. Hai Gul met his student Biabhyun, accompanied by Muyo. Biabhyun greeted him. "Master, you're back." Hai Gul nodded. "Yes. Did you finish the task I gave you?" Biabhyun replied. "It wasn't easy, but I managed." Hai Gul pointed toward a nearby cage. "Muyo, look closely. This is a leopard." Muyo's eyes widened with excitement. "Whoa! Leopards are the best." Meanwhile, Hai Dam greeted Wudang. "You did well." "Yes, master," Wudang replied respectfully. "What I've been teaching you is the Rolai Divine Palm Strike. A solid body and unwavering mind are the foundation of the 108 Arhats. Your time at Wudang clearly helped your awakening. Keep training. Strength born from effort never betrays. Become the strongest." Elsewhere, in the training arena, Mu Kyung lay sprawled on the ground, exhausted. Hai Guan loomed above him. "You're lasting longer than before." "Not bad," Hai Guan said with a smirk. He crackled around his fist. "Now this is one of the 72 advanced techniques I've mastered, Invincible Anti-Demon Punch. Do you remember all the forms? Actually, did you steal them properly?" Mu Kyung gasped. "What? You're worse than me. Let's assume you learned it. From now on, we'll use it in sparring," Hai Guan declared before launching himself toward Mu Kyung, fist glowing. Mu Kyung panicked. "Wait. I just memorized it." Hai Guan grinned. "Good enough." The scene shifted to Mujene, who was alone, reflecting. "My martial arts, Iron Guard, Maiden Arts, Fist Energy, Taiji Fist, they're all growing stronger. But it's not enough. Not yet. Everyone I've met, from Jinhee to Chung Su, Hong So-hee, Ryu Jiguang, they're all extraordinary. To stop the rising threat of the Shadow Syndicates, I must compete in the Dragon Phoenix Summit. I have to win what's there." Just then, Hyun Guang appeared behind him. "You look troubled. Want me to teach you something interesting?" Startled, Mujene asked. "Grandpa? When did you get here?" Hyun Guang chuckled. "Your friends are learning secret techniques. I thought I'd contribute too." He raised 2 fingers and fired a concentrated blast of energy skyward. "This is the 100 Steps Divine Finger Strike. But for you, it'll be the 100 Steps Divine Fist. With it, you can keep your energy intact over long distances." Mujene's eyes widened. "That's more than enough. Please teach me. But inwardly, he thought, wait, did I ever tell Grandpa I was going to the Dragon Phoenix Summit? I don't remember mentioning it. Did Hai Gul tell him? Or, like Master Anhio hinted, can Grandpa read minds? The story then shifted to Shangxi Fortress, where the Murim Alliance had convened. One member said, "It's been a while since we last gathered." Another added, "Let's hope this meeting brings good tidings." A third asked, "So, what's the purpose of this gathering?" Then Jaegal Hyun, elder of the Jaegal clan, spoke up. "It's about the upcoming Dragon Phoenix Summit, and the increasingly erratic behavior of the Shaolin Temple. You've all heard the rumors. If Shaolin continues to move unchecked, it could destabilize the Central Plains."
We got plenty more where that came from. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for even more amazing content.